For decades, Walmart wasn't just a store. It was this unstoppable force of nature. We're talking a company with a staggering 20-year average return on equity of 33%. But what happens when a revolution kind of runs out of road? Today, we're going to dive into the moment this retail giant first stumbled and how it was forced to completely reinvent itself.
All right, picture this. It's 1993. Sam Walton, the company's legendary founder, has just recently passed away. And for the first time in its entire history, the giant, the unbeatable Walmart, actually looks vulnerable.
And you know who noticed? The business press. After years of just singing Walmart's praises, the tune completely changed. Headlines like this one started popping up everywhere, asking if the company could possibly keep up its insane pace. You could almost feel the doubt in the air.
And that doubt? It had a serious price tag. After Walmart announced that its sales growth at existing stores was going to dip below 10% for the first time since 1985, Wall Street absolutely panicked. In just 2 months, nearly 17 times billion dollars in market value just vanished.
So this begs the huge question. How on earth could a company that was so dominant, so powerful, suddenly seem so fragile? To really get it, we've got to rewind and take a look at the revolutionary formula that made Walmart a giant in the first place.
You see, the whole Walmart empire, this entire massive thing, was built on one simple but totally game-changing idea from its founder, Sam Walton.
And the growth, it was super steady, really methodical. Walton started with just one franchise, but when the parent company rejected his idea for small-town discount stores, he just decided to go his own way. By 1970, he already had 30 stores. And going public in '72, well, that gave him the cash he needed to build the massive infrastructure that would fuel his expansion for the next couple of decades.
And here's the core idea, right from the man himself. While all the big players like Sears and Kmart were busy fighting over the big cities and suburbs, Walton saw this huge, untapped market that pretty much everyone else had written off as, the boondocks. This, right here, was the bet, the whole strategy. See, Walton was absolutely convinced that people in small towns didn't want to drive for hours just to get a bargain. He believed if he could bring big city prices right to their doorstep, they would reward him with their loyalty. And guess what? He was totally right.
Okay, so a great idea is one thing, but building a machine to actually execute that idea on a massive scale, that's a whole different ballgame. So how did Walmart actually do it? How did they consistently deliver on that everyday low prices promise?
Well, it really came down to this three-part formula, something that was years, even decades ahead of its time. And when you break this down, you really start to see the genius behind the company.
So, first up, the people. Walton had this rule. He never called them employees. Nope, they were associates. He shared profits with them, gave them stock ownership, and, this is the big one, he shared information. Store associates knew their store sales, its profits, its inventory levels, and that created this incredible culture of shared ownership. People were committed.
Okay, now let's talk about the engine room of the whole operation. See, while their competitors were relying on a patchwork of outside distributors, Walmart went ahead and built its own logistics network. They controlled 80% of their own shipping and pioneered this thing called cross-docking, a system where goods moved directly from an inbound truck to an outbound one, sometimes without ever even being stored. The result of all this? A full percentage point cost advantage on logistics alone. That's huge.
And the third piece of the puzzle? Technology. Walmart was pouring money into tech way before it was cool. They built a private satellite network back in the early 80s just to get daily sales data from every single store. They linked up electronically with thousands of their vendors and even gave suppliers direct access to their sales data so they could manage their own inventory in Walmart's warehouses. This was absolutely revolutionary stuff for the time.
So what's the bottom line? What did all this incredible efficiency actually add up to? Well, in 1993, Walmart was generating nearly $300 in sales for every single square foot of store space. Just look at that. That is nearly 50% more than Target and literally double what Kmart was pulling in. The machine wasn't just working, it was humming.
And here's where it all comes together on the balance sheet. Just look at that operating expense line. Walmart ran its entire operation on just 18% of sales, while its competitors needed almost 25%. That huge 6.5% advantage, that was the secret sauce. It's what funded their everyday low prices and still left them with nearly double the operating income.
Okay, so all of that brings us right back to 1994. The founder, the visionary, is gone. The company he built is now in the hands of his successors, David Glass and Don Soderquist. But now, the world is a different place.
Look, the simple fact was, Walmart's rural revolution had been so successful that there just weren't that many one-horse towns left to conquer in the U.S. If they wanted to keep that growth engine roaring, they had to find totally new battlegrounds.
So what was their first big bet? The supercenter. The whole idea here was to basically combine a full-on supermarket with their classic discount store, creating one massive one-stop shop that could cover pretty much every single household need.
And this is where the strategic genius of the supercenter really shines. Food makes up about 40% of the sales. Now, everyone knows groceries have razor-thin profit margins, right? But people buy them every week. So you get this constant high traffic from the food aisles, and those people then just naturally flow into the general merchandise sections where the profit margins are way, way higher.
All right, bet number 2 is even bigger. Take the Walmart formula and go global. They dipped their toes in Mexico, then made a huge leap into Canada by buying an entire chain of 122 stores. And with plans for South America and even Asia on the horizon, some analysts at the time, they were thinking that international sales alone could one day be a $100 billion business.
So here they are, with two massive bets on the table, the supercenters at home and massive expansion abroad. And the company was staring down its next $100 billion question.
And this quote from the CEO at the time, David Glass, it just sums up their new reality perfectly. For decades, Walmart was the scrappy underdog, learning from the mistakes of the big guys like Sears. But by 1994, they were the giant. There was no one bigger to copy, no playbook left to follow. They were out in front, writing the rules themselves.
And that really leaves us with one final, and I think crucial question. Walmart was a company forged in the image of one man, Sam Walton. With him gone, and facing a world so much more complex than the rural America where it all started, could the revolution he started actually outlive the revolutionary himself?